You were in an arrhythmical, meaning without rhythm, you were in an arrhythmical sense, a non-harmonic sense of depression, of sadness, of grief. My father was a yogi, my mom too. What turned my father's life around was that his uncle passed away. And this was about 5 years after his father had died from a very tragic event. And he was 12 years old when his father died. His uncle passed away about 5 years later. And they were all sitting at the wake. And my father was a 17-year-old boy sitting at the table, facing a window. And they had just come from the cemetery where they had buried his uncle. And his uncle walks past the window and waves at him. And he's fixated, thinking it wasn't real. And after a couple of minutes of being fixated at seeing his uncle out there waving, he just catches out of the corner of his eye his aunt, the wife of the man that they've just buried. And she is starting to sob because she sees it too. He never again, in all of his life, and there was deaths that took place, he never again thought of death as death. What if you could access that information, that vast information that's out here? 95% is called dark matter and dark energy, which Yogi Bhajan said, dark matter is a little bit like freeze-dried stuff. In freeze-dried stuff, you just add water. In dark matter, you just add light. That's all raw material. That's all material waiting for you to manifest your dreams. But in order to manifest your dreams with dark matter, you have to add light. And you now know where your light exists throughout your body, but concentrated in certain areas. And so if you're meditating and you're working with those areas, and the easiest one to work with is your heart, because if you start working with your head brain has what's called governors that try to not let you in. And I used to ask Yogi Bhajan, why does the head brain have those governors that tries to not let us in? We get on a roll and then all of a sudden the head brain goes boink, goes off in some tangential direction. I said, why? He said, because in order to master this, you can't be a jerk. I said, what? He said, God doesn't want jerks in heaven. In other words, in order to master the mechanism of your magnificent instrument, you have to reduce the noise of me, 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 me. You have to reduce the noise of the that goes on. You have to reduce the noises of doubt. You have to reduce the noises of fear. You have to reduce the noises of all these things, fear. Pretty soon we'll all be walking down the street going, what are you doing? I'm reducing noise. You just figured out how to do it for your adrenals and your liver and all the glands and organs that secrete those noisy peptides and hormones that create your emotional components. So out of the 95% of the information and what is out here, there is in every moment, the information of your solution. And so if you're not in solution, you have to say to yourself, it's here. And that's what the Buddha did. The Buddha, remember the story of the Buddha? The Buddha sat down and said, did you see that?
Yeah.
Very words. I'm not chasing it anymore. God, you know who I am, how I am, what I am, when I am, and where I am. I'm done. You want me? Come. And that's when the whole show began, correct? 40 days the show began. The first the show tried to seduce him. And then the show tried to terrorize him. And he kept sitting, and he kept sitting under that Bodhi tree. In other words, when you finally get to the place where you say, I am not going to fall for the fear or the seduction. I'm only going to fall for the solution. The fear and seduction doesn't just go, oh, okay, and go away.
No.
It gets upset and it'll attack you.
Yep.
And that's when you have to have practiced your practice. So under attack, you're not swayed, you're not changed, you're not shifted. You're rock solid. You sit like that gyroscopic condition, and you sit in your exact center no matter what is going on. Master. These are the powers that we have as individuals. This is the next evolution, because without this, all we do is build more Walmarts. I'm not being anti-Walmart, please understand. They are at the exact level that they need to be. They're doing exactly what they need to be doing, and that's fine. But that's not your game. Your game is not the best price in town. Your game is the highest consciousness that you can possibly achieve. And when you achieve that, you start manifesting with ease. And when you start manifesting with ease, things begin to occur in your life that are unexplainable. And when you master the fact that things are happening in your life that are unexplainable, they're happening all the time, and you get a reputation. And not only do you get a reputation, but you get a little small following, friends, a circle of friends, who also start having the same thing happen. And then that circle creates a bigger circle, creates a bigger circle, creates a bigger circle, and we've got a couple of decades, we got 20 or 30 years in which we need to fully awaken the 21 million people on earth that are here today, that are completely teed up and ready for that. Because with that many people, we cannot be denounced. And with that many people, they can't make an iconic religious figure out of one of us. Because that is the last thing that we can afford. We cannot be relegated to some cultish religious startup because we only have a couple of people that are capable of this. And we cannot be a small number. We have to be in every portion of the world, because without that, deep science knows the human race is doomed. We will not make it out of the 21st century. Period. End of story.
But it's going to happen no matter what. So.
Yogi Bhajan said, this is the 5th root race, that we have failed at it 4 previous times.
Yeah.
He said, this time the race is fixed, and it's fixed in our favor, but that doesn't mean that we can slack off.
Right. I agree.
So the bottom line here is that we need to be doing our daily practice daily. And it needs to be getting longer and longer. We no longer can be affording to squeeze it in between this and that. It has to muscle itself into a very large place in our hearts. Thank you.